What's up, everybody?
Yeah, another good evening from here in West Tennessee. It's a little cooler, but that's the roller coaster we ride in the spring.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I was telling somebody the other day, man. I look forward to spring, but I actually hate spring.
Well, it's just right. It's
Pollen, temperature, my sinuses and stuff, they are jacked up for the entire duration of spring.
just you mentioning this. This is kind of weird. Like the roof of my mouth kind of started itching. I don't know if you ever experienced that with your allergies.
I have.
But like, yeah, I wake up, my eyes will be a little itchy because I kind of, when it comes to like taking medication, I'm one of those people, like, not like a total hippie, like naturalist by any means, by any stretch.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to take an antihistamine every day, just without even thinking about it. And so I hadn't been taking the antihistamine like through the winter and all. And like here lately, I'm like, damn it. A lot of days I'll leave the house and like, I forgot to take my Zyrtec. And
that's exactly what I do.
And so now I'm like, no, I got to get in that routine because for the next 2 or 3 months, I need to take one every day.
That's what I do during the winter. Actually, once spring ends, I'll quit taking it.
I'll still have to here and there. It seems like even through the summer, but yeah, from now until probably like the real start of summer, like middle of June, I better take one just about every day.
Yeah.
Because mine are bad about, like, if I get going, like with sneezing, I'm
you
done.
You will
for the rest
sneeze
of the
like 15 times in a row.
Well, and it'll keep going all day. Like my eyes will get itchy. Oh, there's some days where like my dad will look at me and be like, what in the world? I'm like, yeah. You might have a little bit of allergies, but now, he's like, you look awful. I'm like, yeah, like my eyes are all swollen.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for passing this to me.
I mean, it's not very often, especially now with kids, where like I just want to go home and take a Benadryl and go to sleep.
Yeah,
like, I can just sleep for 10 hours and wake up the next morning. 'Cause that's the only way it's going to totally stop. And start over the next day and hope it's better. But yeah, springtime in the South.
Yes, I
it's
hate
80 one day and in the 30s the next night.
Yep,
that's what I saw actually on. It had to have been on social media, but one of the local weather stations. I think we broke records a day or two ago for the low temperatures. We had record high low temperatures, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like our lows were in the 60s there. I don't know if it was Monday or Tuesday this week. And then, tomorrow night we're probably going to get a frost.
I was going to say 35 or something tomorrow
night. It's going to be a full 30 degrees lower for the lows.
I tell you
in
what,
a span of about 48 hours.
What frustrates me is I wanted to plant some early beans, and I'm, in April you get the beans in the ground, you're still doing good. Because we've planted beans in June. I just don't really want to do that shooting for April, but I wanted to have some planted before April. Like I wanted to have started, and hell, now it's showing rain all next week.
So I hadn't even paid attention that close to the rain.
It could shift, obviously it could change, but
yeah, we've missed some rain.
A bunch, and that scares me.
Well, that big rain event, that this cold front, was brought in by yesterday. We got a little over 4/10. That's all I got at my house.
Well, Brandon that we had on the show, I've been staying in touch with him. They had snow just like a few days ago.
Yeah.
And that's what I told him. I was like, man, keep that crap over there. Before we get too deep in, we need to mention agzaga.com.
Agzaga.com, as we're talking about spring, hay season is right around the corner, and they have a lot of other stuff too, of course, but the Belknap wrap is obviously a big thing this time of year. It's pretty freaking sweet whenever you can get it shipped right to your door and get 10% off using the Talk Dirt, all caps, all one word discount code. But we're getting ready. And I know I've been saying this for a few weeks. We're going to have some new calves in. If not next week, the week after, we'll be dosing them with the Ferropeas, which you can also get right there through Agzaga. I was just today being off, I was in and out of my toolbox that I got from them and use the water hose every day, anything you need, you can check them out. Good folks, American-owned company right there in Missouri.
Yep.
And best part about it, you can get 10% off.
Use that free shipping. Yep. Use the code TALKDIRT, all caps, all one word, agzaga.com. Speaking of that, one of our questions, we get several questions or people that have wrote in, and one of them, they mentioned the Agzaga thing, And so I'll go ahead and do those real quick. So this first one comes in from David. David writes in, "Hello, my name is David Seward. I have been listening to the podcast for some time now and enjoy listening to every new episode on my car ride home every week. I wrote a while back about starting a row crop farm as I work for John Deere full time.
Yep.
This was episode 95 called Deep Pockets. Recently, I was reading a Heritage Iron magazine and came across an article about the tractorcade in 1979. It might be interesting to look into and mention on the podcast as farmers drove their tractors to the streets of D.C. in protest. I just wanted to share this with y'all. Keep up the good work." So I haven't had a chance to look watch it yet, but I read this and I was like, okay. So I looked it up on YouTube, and there's actually like some YouTube little documentaries on this tractorcade. So I'm going to watch it because it looked pretty fascinating.
Yeah, we may need to research that one and talk about it in a future episode, because my immediate question is like, all right, what were they so fired up about that got them to organize into doing that?
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, we got to definitely check it out. David, appreciate you writing in. Appreciate the support, man. Appreciate that you've been listening, and try to keep them folks at John Deere straightened out, working for them. I'm glad to hear there's got some people working there. Every time we need something, can't hardly get nobody to work. So it's nice to hear somebody working for John Deere. Write in anytime you got any questions, man. We will definitely do an episode on the tractorcade of 1979. That sounds pretty awesome. All right, next one. Gotta finish. All right, here we go. So this is from Jeremiah. He said, "Just had a pallet of plastic bale wrap and twine delivered. Talk dirt code. Can't believe the free shipping. Thanks for the intro to Ag Zaga, and thanks for the great podcast. Love listening and every week from a small beef cattle farm in northern Maine." Man, take care, guys. Now that's pretty cool.
That is pretty awesome.
Man.
Hey, and yet you don't have to take our word for it on agzaga.com. The people have spoken.
Yep. Dude, that's cool, man. Man, Maine. I've always wanted to go to Maine. Have you ever been to Maine?
I have not, and that's one place that, because my wife is big on,
like clam chowder.
Well, she might be. I don't know. We love seafood. To go along, a little surf and turf to go alongside our beef, but
go alongside your sex.
Yeah. But we've always been like, that's the place I'd like to go.
Yeah.
One, I've just never been, but she's always like, she does not ever want to, like, if we go to somewhere and we really like it, and I'll be like, well, let's go back there. She's like, well, let's go somewhere different. I'm like, okay, and I can appreciate that too, of course, but that's been somewhere where, like, we've looked at, because our anniversary is into May.
Yeah.
Like, all right, it's probably a pretty good time of year.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
visit.
too cold or nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I like going to the beach and relaxing. Like, that's cool. But I'm not one of these people that wants to go to the beach every year.
Yeah.
Or every spring break or every 4th of July, we're going to the beach. Like, yeah, no, I mean, let's go to the mountains. Let's do some other stuff.
Yeah.
It's somewhere. Yeah, I mean, it's not terribly hard to get to it, because I looked into it. You can fly into different airports in Maine, but if you wanted to fly into like Boston and rent a car, it's not very far. You could hit several different little spots.
I've always wanted to go there.
My problem is what it always is. Like, I don't want to be gone for more than about 4, maybe 5 nights. and so then it's like, well, gosh, I want to visit this little town on the coast, but then I'd like to go inland. And I'm like, well, crap, we ain't going to have enough time to really, we're going to get to a part that we like, and we're like, yeah, we only have 1 night here.
Yeah, we can't stay. Well, that's what I've always thought about, because I also think, like, I'd like to see that part, because I know some people that lived in Maine for a little while, and it was really rural and pretty looking. Actually, old Stephen King, that's where he lives, in Maine.
This is really random. So when I was in vet school, there were 70 in our class, 50 in-state and 20 out-of-state. But 2 of our out-of-state students were from Maine.
Really?
I don't know, what would you call somebody from Maine?
A Maynard.
A Maynard?
No, I don't know. I'm just
a Mainite. That's what
Maynard's a dude from Tool. I don't know.
I don't know, Maynard. You could be a Maynard. A Mainite.
Yeah, a Mainite.
A Mennonite.
A Mennonite.
Makes you sound like a Mennonite.
Oh, Jeremiah, write in and let us know, what do you call? Because we're Tennesseans.
Yeah.
So are you a Manian?
Manian.
Manian.
Maniac.
Maniac. That sounds good, dude. Write in. Let us know what that is. By the way, man, we appreciate you using the code. We appreciate you writing in, the support. I mean, that's just awesome because when you use the code, we're not getting commission from the code, but it helps us because it's just we're linked up with AgZaga, so it helps our show because they're like, man, look at these people using their code. Like it's just good.
Oh yeah, no, it allows them to see the value in us.
And us,
So, yeah.
besides our good looks.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, Maine is always that. And I'd like to go to the arbor side as well. Like that commercial, there's something cool to me about like the commercial fishing, like that kind of stuff is
eat
cool
some
to
Maine
me.
lobster.
Yep. All right, here we go. Next one comes in from Kyle Hanks. He's wrote in, it's a good last name. Hello again. I got a question about finishing steers in confinement. My wife and I started a freezer beef business several years ago now, and it's done really well, and we've decided we would like to expand it. We are in north central Illinois, which is not cattle country. Ground is very productive here.
I was about to say that's heavy duty row crop country.
Yes, and very expensive. So we've considered building a hoop building. Getting tongue-tied. So we've considered building a hoop building, the finish more steers in and use less ground. What are your guys' thoughts on finishing beef inside a building? I think if you're not packing 8,000 head in there like that one guy, then I don't really see the problem in it.
Oh no, and I've seen, people, doing like farm tours and breakdowns where they've got them in a building like on slat floors because then you can utilize that manure pretty easily. I think that's fantastic. I'm right in the thick of mine now. We killed 3 this week. Have 3 more go next week and 3 go the week after. So I'm feeding out a total of 9, so very small time. But man, I think, and that's my biggest limiting factor other than time on not feeding out more is like I've got a brand new barn, but it's like a multi-purpose barn. It's all for cattle, but it's also the same barn that I have my squeeze chute in and where we load them out. Well, when we haul them to the processor or anywhere we need to trailer them anywhere. And so it's not just perfectly designed for keeping cattle in confinement, for, the last 90, 120 days, whatever their life. And so, and I think, because I already had a list of, like I've got a waiting list for people that want to buy from me.
Yeah.
And that's with me doing absolutely zero, like
marketing for it.
The first year or two I did it, I had a few friends that, like word of mouth wanted it, and then we like put it on Facebook, and then like immediately it was all sold. And I've had, and thankfully I did get to pick somebody up off of my waiting list the other day because,
was it the dude that came out here?
No, he was way on down the list, far enough down that I know I wouldn't get to his name.
No veteran advantage.
Well, right. I mean, that's, I'm first come, first served.
Equal employee, EEOC, man.
Yeah.
Or not employing, but you're an equal EOC.
Equal opportunity, yeah. Somebody that I thought wanted a whole carcass, they said, oh, wait, we only want a half. And I was like, well, all right. Well, I immediately reached out to them. They're like, heck yeah, we want it. So,
yeah.
I think there's it's a niche, which we've talked about on here before. I think the niches are going to be more and more important as just doing basic commodity, agriculture is the margins are getting so thin. You got to go big or get out.
Yes.
On those things. So
yeah,
absolutely. I don't have any idea what the cost is to build the barns. Like my barn, I've just got my barn they can come in and out of, and they're in confinement still because they're just in a dry lot out there behind the barn.
Yeah.
But as far as fully housing them, I don't know. They're probably far enough north. He could probably write back in and tell us, like, if you were going to feed them through the winter, would they really? I mean, obviously it's not always bad weather, but they probably get some, pretty rough weather at times where it'd be nice to be able to have them, indoors.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of my thing. Like, and I this is a perfect question because one of the write-ins ties in really well with this. The confinement thing to me, I'm like, man, as long as you do it right. Well,
when you say confinement, like some people like outside of the industry are thinking, you got them locked in a box, or there's a, they immediately get an image like of the foie gras goose where you're like force feeding, corn to them. Like, no, it's just, they're not out on pasture.
Yeah.
Grazing, 40 acres.
Right back in. I'm curious how many head you're thinking, or respond to us, man. Let us know. Appreciate you writing in. You aren't getting any issues from either of us on that.
Well, if you invest something like that, you're probably going to be feeding them year round. Mm-hmm. Whereas that's another person that, again, wanted some beef, and they're like, man, I'm not really ready for any right now. I might be in a couple of months. So I was like, man, I don't do this year round. We start feeding them pretty much Thanksgiving and kill them right now.
Yeah.
And so it'll be this time next year before I have any. But yeah, if you had that kind of investment, you'd probably want.
Oh yeah.
As soon as you get a group out, you'd probably bring another group in.
You'd probably keep it flowing. I don't think you'd have any trouble. Yeah, man, dude, I am a believer in the niche stuff. 100%.
If you had the kill capacity like at your local meat lockers, obviously at some point, supply, exceeds demand, but I don't know what that number would be for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I'm not looking to get bigger. One, again, I just don't have the time, don't really have the facilities or the desire. But I also like the fact that I know pretty much everyone that's buying my beef.
Yeah.
And, not that I have anything against people I don't know, but
I think you could safely, and this is just an easy, I bet you could safely sell 5 whole beefs a month. Easy.
Oh yeah, that'd only be 60 a year. I think with very minimal marketing, like just put it out there on Facebook, to local people, friends of friends that kind of share it, kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh yeah.
And again, that's not a crazy.
Yeah. If you told me I had to do that this next year, I'd be like, okay,
yeah,
that's doable.
Yeah.
I can totally move that many.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, appreciate it, man. Right back in. Let us know some more details. All right, Charles writes in. Now, I wrote back to Charles today. And I actually really appreciate this message. We had a good little just conversation, I guess. But so Charles writes in. He said, not a farmer, but I'm a property manager for a hunting ranch and used to work as a service tech for Tyson Foods, working with broiler farmers, so I have a little experience with CAFO and manure disposal. In regards to episode 122, where you talked about the young gentleman with the 8,000 head of cattle feeding operation, it rubbed me the wrong way when you mentioned, do you like to eat, to minimize the complaints of the neighbors who apparently can no longer swim in their creek. That's a poor excuse for poor manure management. Citizens of a first world country should not have to choose between clean water or food. I am not a fan of government regulation because it is my hope that in a strong community, people will look after not only themselves but their neighbors and will self-regulate. Unfortunately, most people aren't willing to do this, so the government has to step in to protect some common resources such as air, water, and wild game. I think we can all agree we would like to live in a country with abundant food, clean air, clean water, and wild animals and fish. Some kids aren't blessed enough to grow up on a farm, and going to the creek to go fishing or swimming may be their only exposure to the outdoors and nature. I think opportunities for people, especially kids, to go hunting and fishing on public land is great for a happy and healthy society. Access and protection to public land and water should be a goal, along with a good, stable food supply. I do appreciate your show. Very enjoyable, informative. Thanks for what you do on the podcast and the farm, and God bless. And I wrote back, man, I actually said, I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really disagree with anything.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, man, look, on the, do you like to eat remark? I said, honestly, at that point, I said, we probably have both, we're both drinking whiskey right now. I got Eagle Rare.
Yeah, I was about to say,
what do you got?
I keep wanting to ask,
yeah, Eagle Rare, what you got?
Knob Creek.
All right. So I wrote him back and I said, look, man, first off, I said, we were probably into our whiskey at that point.
Yeah, I think we were pretty near the end of the episode when we got talking about that.
Yeah. And I said, and I'm not saying that this is right, but as farmers, I feel like we are always under attack.
Oh yeah.
So we're probably
nowadays we are.
Yes. And so we're spicy. I'll just be honest. Sometimes it's just spicy. So it's like, man,
especially when people try to tell us how to do something that
that we do for a living.
Now, clearly, we also agreed, like, yeah, that dude was way out of bounds.
Yes.
And I agree with him also. You know, in a perfect world, that the very libertarian part of me, because people are like, well, you got to have the police and you got to have this. Like, you know, you got to have the health department, you know, and these different groups. Like, well, you know, in a perfect society, it's like a really good sports team. The coach doesn't have to discipline them because, you know,
they discipline themselves.
Yeah, the team leaders, you know, if they see somebody jacking around, they get in their ass.
See somebody jacking off.
Yeah, well, that
they get in their ass. That took
Lord.
a turn I wasn't expecting.
But yeah, you know, you'd like to think you'd be in a situation where the neighbors get together and be up there and be like, hey, dude, you got to straighten up. Like, we ain't putting up with this shit, and literally putting up with this shit.
Yeah.
But you know, right? You know, it's that could turn ugly pretty quickly.
It could, and that's the thing. Like, and I just had this conversation with a group of guys this week. We were talking about DeSantis, where he put in like where certain kids under an age cannot be on social media, and one guy he's actually kind of a liberal, another guy is conservative, but he's more libertarian, and the conservative libertarian guy was like good, and the liberal dude's like, oh well, you conservatives don't ever want any government, and so now here you're glad that they're doing this, and the libertarian guy was like, well, in a perfect world, I would like there to be no government. But he said, but the problem is people don't regulate themselves like they should. And so you're ultimately it almost forces the government at that point to have to be the regulator. And I am like borderline anarchist to a degree, but this is a prime example. You got a guy, we have regulations in place. You got a guy that's still running way too many cattle. And yeah, dude, I mean, look, I get it. Like if we have access to creeks and stuff, we've always had access since we were kids. But if suddenly our creek started running red because there was shit in it and manure and fertilizer or something all in our water, I mean, hell, we'd be like, what the hell's going on here? And we found out our neighbor has 5,000 head of cattle up here. And that's why I said this ties in really well with Kyle's write-in, because that's when I say do it right. You know, do it right. I mean, because, yeah, dude, I want to be able to send my kids outside and let them go play in the creek without them coming back and thinking, damn, have they been poisoned from...
And like I go back to, the boy there in Tennessee, like, man, utilize that manure. Like that really can be a commodity.
Oh, yeah, heck yeah.
You know, use as a natural fertilizer. You know, whether you really believe in those things or not, you could probably sell it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could certainly probably get somebody to come and get it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and not even, you know, they wouldn't charge you to haul it off. Yeah, there was that situation definitely has not been handled properly, and I know very little. You know.
Yeah, I haven't heard any updates on that.
Details about it, but yeah.
I know we shared, we have some guys that have reached out that said he's a good guy. We've had other guys that have reached out that basically say he's like, I mean, we got the big guys around here that are problems, and they said he's kind of that guy. So you hear both sides. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, unfortunately, however I want to feel about it, guys like that is why these regulations get put on us in the first place. And so, no, and that's what I appreciate, Charles. And that, you know, that's why I wrote back to him, because I was like, man, you know, because he was very respectful. That's how you got to do it, guys. Look, we're not opposed. If you have something that you want to reach out to us, you're like, man, you know, I just don't really like that or something, or I disagree, or this, like, dude, send it in, like, and be respectful. You know, if you write in and you're like, well, you know, you dumbasses and this and that, then I'm just going to go field ethos on you and like just really just
napalm.
I'm gonna give it right back. But if you're respectful, then I will politely respond.
Oh yeah, I love that with people on YouTube too. Like,
yeah.
If somebody's being an asshole, I'm usually kind of a smart ass back to them.
Yeah. But. Yeah. Yeah. I've had some where, I've just took the gloves off. But yeah, man, we appreciate y'all writing in. And there was a couple of stories I had. Now this one's it's got a little age on it, but a listener sent this in to me. I had not heard of this, and so I just had to share it because I was like, that's pretty wild. So this happened in Missouri. Garland Nelson was the dude's name that did this, and I still don't quite understand. Like, I've read a couple articles now, and the Dimer brothers was their name.
Dimer or Daimler.
Yeah. They apparently had some cattle, but they were in a different state.
Yeah, apparently he was doing like custom feeding. I don't know if he was feeding them to finish or what, but
yeah,
they were retaining ownership kind of thing. And
I just thought that was odd.
It's not, in this part of the country, it's definitely not very commonplace, but that's not completely unusual to do that. And who knows, like, I don't know if he had like a feed yard where he was finishing them out.
He works for a company that does that. So do you think maybe they send them there? J4S Farm Enterprises.
So like when we run steers and we sell them, at 800 pounds, and they're going to a feed lot to be finished, we just sell them.
Yeah.
Some people will do what you call retained ownership, where I still own them, but they take them to their feed lot wherever, one of the big cattle feeding parts of the country. And I pay them so much, like per head per day, for yardage and feed and everything. Pretty much because I think I can make more selling them at 1,500 pounds as fat cattle, selling them, at slaughter weight. And some people around here do that. That's an option. It's just not nearly as common as far as they sell them that way. I don't know anybody around here that feeds out like that. But yeah, he was defrauding them in multiple ways, basically.
Yeah. He even killed them, wasn't feeding them enough.
Killed them, and I don't know if it was like he was actually just killing them or if he was just, they were starving and dying.
He went out there with a chainsaw.
I think he was selling some. Like
he didn't go out there with a chainsaw, to my knowledge. Hell, he might have. I don't know.
He's apparently a psychopath, but
yes.
But apparently he was selling some of them in his own name.
Yeah.
Like, of course, they were in a different state, so they didn't realize that the cattle were gone.
He wrote them a check for like $215,000, which he owed them, and said he had 21 cents in his bank account.
Yeah.
And so the brunt of the story is the Dimer brothers. One of them was 24 years old. The other one's 35. They drove down there.
He told me, he's like, if you want to come get a good check, you have to come down here and get it.
Yeah. So they went to the guy, and that's the last time that they were ever seen. And it got crazy because then he apparently shoots them, and then he puts them in barrels and burns them. And he took one of them's ashes and like dumped it out kind of in the lot in like a pile of manure. And then he took another pile of ashes to Nebraska. Like he had some in Nebraska they found, which it's kind of wild, man. I'm reading this and I'm like, man, that's crazy. I wonder if he admitted to where they are, or I'm like, how did they find those in Nebraska?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Like I've always wondered, man, like I love some homicide detectives. Like I love the movie Seven. You ever seen that one?
I don't guess so.
Man, it's an older movie. It's got Brad Pitt in it. And it's the seven. There's a serial killer, and he's committing the 7 deadly sins. And it's him and Morgan Freeman. So, man, Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman in there is a good movie. But they're trying to track him, and it's just something cool to me about the homicide thing. Like, it seems cool, but I would have to move somewhere where it would be cool. Like in Memphis, I mean, I'd work a homicide every night, but it would just be another dude shot in the street. It wouldn't be real cool.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like a serial killer. Like somebody, you're going to have to play cat and mouse with for months.
Yep. But
one gang shot another gang. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got 3 more dead people. Oh, yeah, that's just normal. Yeah. That's normal. But, yeah, so the dude ended up getting busted. It said he was originally charged 2 counts, first-degree murder, armed criminal action, tampering with a motor vehicle, abandonment of a corpse, and stealing of a motor vehicle. The other state charges against Nelson will be dropped. He was ultimately sentenced to 2 life sentences in the state murder case, and they will be served consecutively. So he will die, and they will bring him back to life, and he will serve another life sentence. And
hold on, is that okay? Yeah, I guess that is. Yeah.
And I don't know why they do that.
I guess concurrently would.
Why don't they just kill him? Like I've just never understood this.
Well, and I guess they do it like that because that way even if they decide to let them off early, it was like, well, never mind, you got another life sentence. But right, it's like,
especially when it'd be like 2 life sentences. If it's life sentence with no parole, with like no chance of parole, just kill them. Like, save us the tax money. That's how I would cut a lot of our tax costs.
The biggest, because I have always been a big believer in, like, especially if you're guilty of murder, like, yeah.
Are you an eye for an eye, man?
Yeah, like the death penalty. Like, what, like, and you can be forgiven. Like, you can find forgiveness.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean
that
you're not still deserving of being executed.
Yeah.
But the biggest argument I've heard against it has changed my opinion a little.
Is the false accusation. Like,
well, and it's just the number of people that are actually put to death is like directly related to their like socioeconomic status. Like, poor people aren't getting away with murder.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't. But it's just, it just shows there's a pretty big imbalance. Like, rich people rarely get
put to death.
Yeah. Are found guilty of murder, and then, you know, they hire better lawyers or whatever.
Well, yeah, look at O.J. Simpson.
Oh, right.
He chopped a chick's head off.
Well, but did he?
He wrote a book, If I Did It.
But it's, you know, it's that kind of thing. And it's like, man. And so it all comes down to me. It's like, in cases where we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they did it, I mean, if it's first degree murder, you know, it's not like a second degree murder, manslaughter kind of thing. Like, yes, I don't know of any good argument against the death penalty.
Yeah.
Like, and I think even if I committed one, I'd be like, yeah, you know, I did it. That's what I'm deserving of.
Yeah.
You know, I would hope that I found forgiveness, you know, found the Lord afterwards, and because I mean, nobody is you know, unworthy of that, you know, if they seek it, but that doesn't mean that I don't still deserve to pay for my crime.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I'm like with this guy, because it said he was originally considered for the death penalty. And it's like, well, he killed 2 people. I mean,
like, no shit.
Yeah. Like, what? Again, let's save
like
some.
The double death penalty. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to kill him twice, consecutively. 2 death penalties.
Well, that's where, too, I always get a kick out of the whole thing, like the lethal injection. It's like, oh, they can't get the drugs. I'm like, and then I'll read, and I was like, that's the drug I use every day. I kill stuff every day with that drug. I mean,
can't you just couldn't you just pump air into their vein?
Oh, there's all kind, but it's not humane. I'm like, well, shit, do you think shooting them 2 dudes and burning them in a barrel is very humane? But I'm like, why can't they get these drugs? And I guess some of these companies are kind of woke and
don't
so
want their name tied to the death penalty.
I might just tell them to come by my office, and I can, you know, I gotta, you know, record where it goes because it is a controlled drug. But I'm like, hell, I can get that.
Or just do it the way Bobby Lee does his cows. You know, when they reach in the line, he goes in there with a hammer and goes pow right in their head.
Then it does come down to, okay, you know, like there's death by firing squad, hanging. I don't know if we're gonna bring the guillotine back, but electric chair. I mean, it's like, what? Like,
did you see?
And then it also amazed me. And again, I've never killed a person, you know, or anything, but
that he's admitted to.
Again, I mean, I don't want to make light of it because it is awful to have to put animals down. I mean, it is the worst part of the job.
Yeah.
And again, it is super rare that I have a day where I'm at work where I don't put at least one down.
Really?
And sometimes, oh yeah. I mean, I was off yesterday. I know I put down 2, and there might have been one that I
dang, man, that sucks.
Oh yeah. But I mean, this might be bad to say too, but I feel like we're really good at it. Like, it is very peaceful, very smooth. I mean, there's always like a rare instance where it just doesn't go quite as smooth as you want. But like, you always hear about these, like with people like, oh, they sat there and I'm like, what are y'all like? I don't know. And I don't work on people. I work on dogs and cats.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, like I feel like, which I guess we do it all the time. And you think about it, like whoever the doctor is, whether it's administering the lethal injection, like, I don't know. It's so rare that it happens. Like they're just not that good at it. But maybe they need a vet to come in and do this.
Maybe.
I'm not volunteering.
Well,
if the price is right,
they could use.
Hey, if it's an evil person and they want to pay me to do it, like I don't know. I'd probably have to sleep on it. But
I'd use that thing Shigar uses in No Country for Old Men.
The cattle. Yeah.
Man,
but anyway, I didn't. Man, you never know what kind of rabbit hole I'm going to go down. We
talking the death penalty and how we would.
I just need to give some advice to whoever's at the state penitentiary.
Just slit their throat. You know,
like I can give you the protocol for the drugs we use beforehand to sedate them. You know, and yeah, it's always like they couldn't find a vein. I'm like, any ER nurse anywhere I would think could find a vein. Like, I mean, I'm sure your wife could put a catheter in any of them.
Yeah,
she works in a NICU. If she can put a catheter in a 4-pound baby, I'm sure she can put it in a grown-ass man.
Or if they're just a terrible person, just go duct tape their mouth closed and hold their nose.
What? Right. And then it comes down to, it's like, why can't we just do a firing squad?
Have you ever seen Rambo? You've seen the newer Rambo? One of them. He just grabs the dude's Adam's apple and rips it out. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of creative ways.
Well, I know it's
just send one of the other guys on death row in there and be like, all right, whoever, you get to hang on a little longer, whoever's left.
Yeah, that you would have the liberals screaming over that.
We'll put 4 in there. Have like a Royal Rumble. Like only one of you gets out.
Like in a, oh shit, what's the TV show we're waiting to come back? The 80s one, Stranger Things.
Oh yeah.
Just put them in there with a bunch of demons, like fight to the like or for sport.
You could do that, or
well, I guess the hell the Romans did that, where they
the gladiators.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of the book, The Most Dangerous Game.
Yep.
Where the dude hunts the people. Dude, look, there you go. We'll start. We could do like, I think it was the movie Running Man, where they would take people that were like convicted and they put them in this competition, and if they survived, then they were free.
Yeah.
So we could take like the worst people, put them on this island. You could go hunt them. Yeah. If you survive.
Like the Hunger Games, except for
bad guys,
for convicts. Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, we'll have like, it's got to be like on an island that's surrounded by shark-infested waters. Because at the end of the day, the guys are still terrible human beings because you would only do that to like the worst, like a pedophile or something. And so you wouldn't want them to win. So you'd have to kind of have it rigged.
Yeah, and I said for murder, but like, yeah, the death penalty for pedophiles.
Florida, I think, is doing that. I think Florida got on board with that.
Yeah, I mean, again, if they're guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt, like, I don't know if there's any coming back from that.
I don't either. And like say, hey, you can get forgiveness from God,
but that's between you and God.
That is,
and that's just kind of one of those things where like, now they're trying to tell you, oh, it's a mental illness. They're minor attracted persons. Okay, you're right, they are, and they do not need to be living in society.
No, yeah, that's
lock them up and throw away the key, or just put them in the fast lane to meeting their maker.
Yes, yeah. You wanted to add some stuff on the...
Well, just kind of on the current events. Of course, we mentioned the avian influenza. Well, the story's not going away. It's now been identified in multiple different states. I can't even name them all. They do think now that it may also be spread cow to cow.
And cow to human.
Yes. So originally...
Oh, shit, really? Oh, that's just being dumb.
No. Yeah, there's been one case. But before I get... So originally, as of last week...
He had sex with a cow, didn't he?
I didn't... I don't even know if it's a he. But they were pretty sure all the cattle were catching it just from the wildlife vectors, from these wild, just blackbirds or whatever that are around the dairies. But now they do think that transmission can occur from just one bovine to another.
Like saliva or something, like their noses?
Probably just like flu, just even being in close contact.
Yeah.
But there was one dairy worker, which, I mean, it is a big deal that is now crossed into humans, but it like barely sick. Some conjunctivitis, basically pink eye. And of course they haven't really said who it is, but all reports were like, yeah.
So he was one of the workers.
They're fine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a worker on one of the dairies.
Dang, that's wild.
Same thing pretty much with the animals. They're lethargic. They may, not eat very well for a day or two. Basically act like a person who has a mild case of the flu.
How did they test him for that?
I'm sure he was showing some symptoms. They knew he had been right there on a dairy that had some. And so how they determine that it is that specific strain of the flu, it takes,
Dang,
a virologist that's,
I wonder if the CDC came and got that man.
I'm certain government agencies were involved. I don't know to what extent, and who all. I'm sure Department of Ag and everybody else is involved. But
wow.
Yeah, so, and it's like on one hand, it's like, okay, these animals really aren't even that sick. They don't die. Their milk production drops. The milk a lot of times is, improper consistency. Of course, they're dumping this milk. They're getting rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm wondering now. So could you drink the milk and get it?
Well, certainly not if it's pasteurized. But so like even if like say on that dairy and they got cows that aren't sick and so they don't think they have it, but they do, you're not going to catch it from eating dairy products. From those animals. So you're not going to get it from the meat.
What about the raw milk drinkers?
Man, I'm not a fan of raw milk.
I got a couple of buddies that think that's the only thing to drink.
Well, and the libertarian in me is like, good for them.
Yeah, and I've tried it. It's interesting.
That they understand the risk. They're adults. They're not, being told it's something that is pasteurized and it isn't.
Yeah.
So part of me says like, hey, freedom to do what you want. If you get sick and get listeria, don't blame it on the milk. I mean, and that's where, hearing people in dairy that kind of aren't big fans of it, it's that because it's like, look, we know there's a whole lot higher risk of them getting sick.
Yeah.
They may not ever get sick, but the odds of them getting sick drinking that versus drinking pasteurized milk is, I don't know, just much, much higher. And if they do get severely sick, or say there's an outbreak even in like a community of like milk-borne illnesses, that's going to be the story. It's not going to be
the pasteurized milk.
These people were drinking raw milk against better recommendations. Like it's still, and then everybody's going to quit drinking milk because of it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can understand that. But
I think Tara and them are pretty adamant to not drink raw milk.
So she is one person in particular I'm referencing when I say that.
We're going to get her on here and talk to her.
She'll tell you, or she said it many times. She drank raw milk her entire life. She grew up on a dairy. And then when she was pregnant with one of her kids, she kind of got to thinking about it. She's like, yeah, you know what? This just really is not worth the risk.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the same thing is like even for other people, like, look, if they want to do it, that's their choice. But yeah, you kind of cringe thinking about, all right, if they get sick, they're just going to simply blame it on milk. They're not going to, a lot of times, specify that
it was raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and that's, it's very much, we're seeing this thing, and part of it is cool to me, but the other part of it kind of gets to the extreme end. You were talking kind of like this hippie thing, and I feel it myself. I mean, hell, I bought a book the other day on holistic medicines.
Maybe I need to, but like, what do they think? I guess I should research this before it's popped up. Like, what's so bad about the pasteurized milk or great about the raw milk?
It's just there's more nutrients that aren't, there's good bacteria that is killed when it's pasteurized.
Okay.
And that's kind of the big thing. Because one of my buddies, he drinks raw milk and he eats raw liver. He's like which he's in the strength conditioning world, which I always make fun of him because he's got a buddy that eats raw chicken. And like he ate raw sheep brains one time. And I'm like, man, like this dude is going to be, not my buddy did this, but he has a podcast as well.
Does either one of them go by the name Liver King?
No. It's Ross.
All natural.
Ross.
Can you believe he's all natural?
I know. Look, you would never, looking at him, he looks all natural completely.
Just from eating liver and testicles.
Yep. And he's built like a Greek god. But it's Ross from Nomad Strength. And I'll give him a shout out. He's got a cool podcast. I've been on it several times. But he had a guy on there, I don't remember his name, but he eats, like, I don't know if he cooks anything. He had a video of him eating raw sheep brains. And I was like, this dude is going to be the next guy that's in Florida that eats a man's face. I was like, he's going to be naked on the news eating a homeless man's face.
And two, a lot of it, I agree, too.
Not Ross, but this other guy.
It's, right, like, your body can kind of develop a tolerance to that and probably handle it just fine.
But it's like with
eventually,
Yeah, and my thing is, like, there's certain things, like I have lower back issues, so I deadlift, but I just don't go real heavy. because the risk does not outweigh the reward. And to me, it's the same way with this raw milk versus pasteurized milk. Is there some more bacteria that would be good for my gut biome in the raw milk? Yeah, there probably is. But then also, we make sauerkraut, and I eat raw I'll eat it raw out of the jar. It's got the bacteria in there without much of the risk that comes along with the raw milk. Like,
it right. There's positive and negatives both, and
yep.
Yeah, but anyway, that was the big thing, and it's they tried, and I say they, some of these traders and whatnot that play the markets, and of course the big four meat packers, they love anything that can make the price of cattle go down, because that's their biggest cost.
Yep.
And we really thought the markets were going to tank. Apparently Monday, right before the markets and the board closed, cattle prices dropped significantly, and they were they were bracing for everything to go limit down on Tuesday. And actually Tuesday markets actually went up just a little.
Really?
And so, I mean, which that is the biggest thing that I'm worried about, because again, I'm not worried about catching it. I might, but if I got a little pink eye like that fella had for a day or two, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's part of me thinks it's a bigger news story than it's, the reality of it is. But it is, I don't know. I was glad to see the markets kind of shook it off and said, no, we this is not, there's still a extremely tight supplies of cattle. The fundamentals are all there. Like, no, the markets are good. They need to stay good for the foreseeable future. A few dairy cows catching bird flu doesn't, have much impact on that at all.
Yeah. Well, that's where, even I was telling you, the Texas Agriculture Commissioner, that's what he was like, it's not a big deal.
Well, I was checking my email today. We got a bulletin, or what do they call it?
What's the NCBA say?
I don't know that they've come out with it, but yeah, the Tennessee State Veterinarian issued order for dairy cattle movement. So basically, restrict the movement of dairy cattle from those infected areas, Texas, Kansas, Michigan, and New Mexico. And there was a pending test in Idaho that they were expecting was going to be positive.
Man, this is going to it's going to become something. It'll be everywhere.
Oh yeah, well, and
it's
of
like
course,
CWD. It'll make it everywhere.
I hope, which again, it appears to be very
mild.
Well, both for cattle and for the one person that has now caught it, and so I don't know that there's a huge potential for them trying to turn this into the next COVID type thing.
Yeah,
but
oh Lord, the good ranchers are like, they're getting fired up over here.
Yeah, our cows have never had
the avian flu.
But yeah, I mean, it's 4 years later. What do you know? Wouldn't you know it? It's an election year.
Yeah.
I feel like the party in office right now is.
Well, they would do anything.
Pretty damn desperate once again.
Yep.
To keep the man living on the golf course down there in Florida out of the White House. But yeah. So I don't know. I was talking with a buddy yesterday that's going to be he's starting to do the cattle thing like we are, we're all going to buy some heifers here in the next week or two, and it's like, yeah, all the fundamentals are there for the market to just keep going up.
Yeah.
And I was like, but dude, it's an election year. China might invade Taiwan and World War III break out and all the markets crash. Like, yep, you better get your LRP in this year.
Hey, you need to do something, because they're about to build, apparently the Jews are about to build a new temple right in the heart, right in between two Islamic mosques over like in the Israel area. Have you seen that in Jerusalem?
No.
And it's like they're predicting all absolute hell breaking loose over there.
Just because the history and the biblical type of thing, that part of the world, I guess, is important to us. But other than that, like, I mean, I couldn't care much less
what's
going on. I mean, it's, the history has told us those groups are never going to get along. It's just like
freaking Ishmael, man.
They're gonna be at each other's throats until the end of time.
You know who the father of Islam is?
Is it Ishmael?
Ishmael, yeah. Abraham's son, Ishmael. Yeah, man, freaking Ishmael.
I know. I kind of got into, like, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago, maybe longer than that, like trying to figure out Islam a little more. Like, why do they want to kill everybody else? Like, why?
Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting. Like I guess Judaism, Islam, and Christianity through the Old Testament are nearly identical.
Yeah.
It's obviously when you get to the New Testament and Jesus and everything else, that's when everybody kind of goes their different
Islam
ways.
believes in Jesus as a man, but not as a Messiah.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert. I bought some books on it and kind of read a few of them, but I couldn't. It was got a lot deeper than I was really interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, like in the Quran and the Old Testament basically is pretty much, there's parallels or I don't know that it's identical, but yeah. So I was like, all right, yeah, we're not that different. Like, y'all just, all right, y'all call him Allah. The Jews don't believe Jesus was the Son of God. Whatever. Like, okay, y'all believe your thing, we'll believe our thing. Let's just
quit trying to blow us up.
Yeah. Quit trying to kill each other. Don't try to kill us. Let's get along.
Yeah.
I understand our government could probably quit sticking their nose in the middle of things too. I'd be fine with that.
That wouldn't hurt my feelings.
It's like that meme I shared yesterday. It's like
taxes.
It's like, why do I hate paying so many taxes? And it's like somehow, or it's my tax dollars, and it was showing like rockets being fired. And then it's like somehow also my tax dollars, and it was the other side firing rockets. I was like, yeah, that's pretty much it. We're funding both sides of a lot of these wars. So.
Yes, we are. Well, yeah. Well, man, I tell you something. So at the farm store, did I tell you how many blueberry bushes and stuff we're putting up?
Man, you've thrown a lot of numbers out there. I don't know.
I can't remember if I did. Yeah, but it's going to be 115. They're supposed to be.
So how long does it take them to be productive?
Well, it's going to 1 to 2 years. I mean, there's a possibility that some of them could maybe produce some this year.
I mean, I don't know the first thing about blueberries other than I put them in my oatmeal.
They're pretty simple. Yeah,
when do you harvest them?
Well, generally kind of come in the summer.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking, I bet you harvest them like they're a cool season. Like,
no, they'll be coming in the summer, so you can get you some Cool Whip and have you a nice blueberry like stuff and some Cool Whip. But they could possibly, maybe the first year, but more than likely second year be good. Which that's the hard part about this. I mean, we planted apple trees.
Most people say they have a lot of problems with birds on the blueberries.
Yeah. I've seen guys run like a net kind of over the top, and the hard part with that is, and I mean, we're getting into that agritourism thing. The problem is it needs to look pretty as well, like, because people, I mean, obviously you're trying to draw people there. So
I've got it. You could sell bird hunts and blackberry picking or blueberry picking.
Have people,
you could have the rednecks that are out there in the camouflage at the end of the vines, or are they
so
vines?
This might be a great idea. They're bushes.
Yeah, bushes.
No, well, they're bushes. The blackberries are right next to them, and they're viney.
Of course, we got a lot of wild blackberries. We pick them all the time. Good way to get chiggers.
Yes,
but
I don't get chiggers.
You really like
I don't get chiggers. Me and Dad have been. I don't know what it is. Maybe my blood is bad or great. I don't get chiggers. Me and Dad have been like fencing in the same exact location with each other, and his ankles, and he'll tell me other areas, will get covered up with chiggers. And I think I could take off my clothes and waller on the ground right there. I don't get chiggers.
If you took your clothes off, because they only get like in your tight areas.
Well,
around your waistband and your side.
Well, I fence naked, so I guess that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to attribute it to that raw milk you drank that one time, but no, it's because you. It's because
I'm naked all the time.
You fence naked.
I didn't think about that.
No, the sticker bushes might be a problem.
Well, I ain't got enough out there to catch nothing.
Still, just your legs getting all.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But no, we got those and blackberries. I did order 2 tangerine trees. but they're supposedly for our zone.
Okay, because I was going to go out on a limb and be like, yeah, that won't work.
Well, and that's why I only got 2, but they were rated for our zone, which they changed our zone. We're no longer 7. We were like 7.
That damn global warming.
Yeah, getting warmer, man. We're 8A now, and they're rated for our zone. So I said, I'll try it. I bought 2 of them. They're tangerine trees. They smell good.
Which I don't garden and grow those, fruit and vegetable crops near on the level you do. But I have found that, trying to grow some of the cool season, the broccoli and lettuces.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's a reason why like that. It's not grown on any large scale around here.
Yeah.
It's just we go from winter to summer so fast, and then just our bugs.
It shoots up. You got them long. They get real long and
like
weird.
we can grow the hell out of some squash and tomatoes and sweet corn, things like that.
I planted sweet corn.
I'm just broccoli, Brussels sprouts, all those types of things. I'm cauliflower even. I really like chopping those up, putting them in my cast iron skillet, and sauteing them up to have alongside my meat. And we just don't grow them that well around here.
Yeah.
I have made it happen where you get a little bit, but yeah,
it does. It just gets hot so fast.
When you figure up your cost in it, it costs like 10 times what it does for me to just buy it at the grocery store.
Yeah. Well, I planted like 45 or 46 rows of sweet corn the other day, just a few days ago, and I'm gonna plant another probably 60. I'd say probably another 60 rows of sweet corn, just because that sweet corn's a big seller, man. I mean, you can.
So are you staggering your planting? So yeah,
I'm gonna wait about 2 weeks before I plant the next ones, and
same variety.
Yeah. Well, but I actually do have some other variety that is really cool. It looks like Indian corn, like it's red in different colors, but it's sweet corn.
I need to show you this I saw the other day, and it's damn April Fools got me.
Was it the Tennessee ones?
Yeah.
I saw that.
I was like, that is
Did
awesome.
you think that was real?
Well, for just a minute, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, UT Ag, I think, shared that.
Yeah,
It was well done.
Well, and Keith Carver is like he is I guess what is his role? He may be the head of UT. What is his exact role?
Yeah, it was hilarious. It
was orange and white kernels, and it's
I almost
very
sent
well
it to
done.
you.
Oh yeah, I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so awesome. But but yeah, like that it wasn't like just a bunch of students put this together, but he's a senior vice chancellor and senior vice president of the UT Institute of Agriculture. Like,
why don't we get him on?
He'd be a good one. He was.
Come on, alumni. You could flex some muscle there and get him on.
So before he went to Knoxville, he was actually, of course,
a murderer.
I mean, not that I know of, but he. I guess he was the chancellor of UT Martin.
Okay. Is that like I know when I hear chancellor, I just think of this movie Star Wars, and the chancellor is actually the one that makes Anakin Skywalker become Darth Vader. So he's kind of a bad guy. So he might be a murderer.
Well, and I of course, I don't want to get all this wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was his role at Martin, which is basically
chancellor.
Like he was the big dog.
I gotcha.
But anyway. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well,
yeah, he was the chancellor at UT Martin.
Well, that was a good one. I did see it.
It was so well done. There were several that got me for just a minute. I was like, you're like, oh, that's awful, and then be like, oh, never mind. Like, and some of them were just so stupid. You're like, like that one was so well because it was like this, like it could, like,
oh, it looks very professionally done.
I could see you, obviously they do all kinds of these, varieties, the purple and whatnot.
All that genetic modifying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, y'all are gonna have the non-GMO folks are really fired up.
Yeah,
but it was very professionally done. I was like, oh man, that one got me more than any of them. I was like, damn it! And nowhere in there did it like say hashtag April Fools. Like,
oh yeah, no, they played it well. Well, dude, I tell you what, I can't get over. What grows the fastest? I've got ducks. I have 12 ducks, dude. Every day I feel like they grow an inch. And things are getting huge.
Shoot, you need to get some of those meat chickens.
I do need to get some meat chickens. But I tell you, the ducks,
those things, like they literally grow so fast.
oh, they'll get too big for their legs.
Well, and they only, like, I don't think,
What is
even
it, 6 months or something?
yeah, like they will not live. Like they are so genetically selected to just grow fast. They can't do anything else. Like they can't even live very long.
Yeah.
Like, they just,
Yeah. Well,
it's almost like, well, you think of like in people that are like have pituitary problem, like they don't live to be very,
okay. Yeah. Like the giantism or
like,
whatever.
like Andre the Giant. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
it,
Thought you were going to say fat people don't live as long.
well, I think that's probably factually correct, but, you know,
It's a rude
depending on
thing
how
to
you
say.
define fat.
Well, the ducks stink. Have you ever
Well,
had
hell,
ducks?
chickens stink too.
Well, dude, I only thought chickens stink.
My immediate question is, what are you doing with the ducks?
Eggs.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a people like
Oh yeah,
duck eggs.
I know, and I think a lot of times they're good for baking, right?
Yeah, and they're big and they got a richer flavor, but they're waterfowl obviously, but they get out, they splash their water because they got a
You
big
have them
water
over at the
thing.
farm store.
Yeah, and I got them in a big. I got 3 big aluminum like water troughs basically, and I have 25 chicks, and then 12 ducks. I didn't want to buy any chicks, but the guy that I was going to buy my laying hens from died. Buck that hauled for us.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know he died until about a month ago.
Yeah.
And so, man, he was a great dude, but he died. So I bought some chicks. Well, the ducks, I've got the bedding in there, and they will freaking they're nonstop splashing their water out, so it stinks. And so it was actually the other day I was there, and I have to scoop out their bedding. You have to change their bedding like every other day because it gets so stinky. And I told Marcy, I said, "Man, these ducks, they stink." I said, "They're foul," and I said, "They're waterfowl."
What? So how will you house them once they get bigger?
I'll have them their own little separate coop. It's just going to be kind of a more or less a small one on the ground, and I'm going to put them a little kiddie pool in there so they have some water to get into, and it'll just be small because I don't plan on getting big into the ducks.
What breed are they?
I don't even know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not real sure. It's a variety. It's yellow, and then there's some. I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Some of them are supposed to be sexed, but it's hard to tell. They're kind of like the chicks, we bought some chicks that were just a straight run, and then we bought some that are supposed to be sexed. But dude, it's hard. Like I asked your dad one day when I first got these chickens out here, which I've had them now for like 3 years, and I first got them and they were still young, and I asked your dad, I was like, how do you tell which one is a rooster and which one's a hen? He said, well, whichever one doesn't lay an egg, you can pretty much bet on and being a rooster. And I was like, all right, thanks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I would be interested in doing more of the meat chicken stuff, but have you ever had any meat chickens and processed them?
It's
a pain in the ass.
Really?
It ain't. I mean,
so it's not something I'd want to get into on a scale.
Well, I mean, if you were doing it on a scale and you got like a setup, like one of those tumblers that plucks them and all that, some of those things, I watched YouTube videos where they have and some of them have like a processor that'll travel around. Now, but you probably need, a few hundred birds to make it worth their while and make it pencil out where they kill them, scald them, pluck them, everything. Now you can manually do it, and I did it on a few, but yeah, once you get done, you're like, I can buy a whole chicken at the store for like $5. Like, this is stupid.
Yeah. Now, I bet you, just like it is with beef, I bet there'd be a pretty big market for it, though. Farm fresh chicken.
Oh, I think you could probably get rid of it, but like, what would you have to charge for it to make it worth your while?
Yeah.
But there's some places, like I think around where my wife's from, there in Middle Tennessee, they've got somebody that basically just like we take cows in and get processed. You can take your chickens in and they do them for just a couple of dollars a piece. They've obviously got a very automated system.
So they're a mean mother pluckers, what you're telling me.
There's your business name right there.
The mean mother pluckers. That would be.
That's what we need to do. We need to buy our own mobile. And we could go around, and that's what.
Dude, I would wear the shit out of a truck that or a shirt that says "mean mother plucker."
You could sell so much apparel, you wouldn't even. you'd need to have the business just to make it legit.
Yes.
But oh man, yeah, you could sell the shit out of some shirts and hats.
You could.
stickers.
I feel like we might have just got a shirt idea. Mean mother pluckers.
You could do all kinds of stuff with it. Like
I'm writing that down. Mother pluckers. Yeah, the videos. It makes me think of that guy that does like the parody videos. He's got the protein. What's the protein? Like Dick something protein. He's the dude that does like the Yellowstone parody where he's always semi-stupid.
Semi-stupid. I don't know that I've seen that one.
He started a brand, and it's like something Dick's protein or something, and he literally makes protein powder now, but he has like funny videos for it. Dude, that mother pluckers would be one. That's, man, I'm like, I've never felt so sure about anything in my life as I have this right now. Like,
we've got a name, but zero
equipment or resources or knowledge or
knowledge is what I was looking for. Any experience, any idea how to do it, but we just got a cool name.
Yes, that's all you need, man.
The cool name is what you need to come up with before you have any other part of your business model.
Yes, if y'all are in, you think that sounds good, comment, message us, let us know what you think of the mean mother pluckers. Hey, you want to cue up the man? I got the company tonight.
Okay, good deal.
Unless you got anything else you want to add.
No, I think the one kind of current event story was the bird flu update, but yeah, and where that ends up going from here.
We start off with 2 words: made in America.
All right, so this kind of goes well with our anti-government stuff we were saying earlier, being prepared. So have you ever heard of Haley Strategic?
Mm-mm.
So I just bought this X chest rig. Like I'm a gear junkie, and I've got the battle belt Wilder Tactical, and I think I've mentioned them on here before. They're made in USA. But Wilder Tactical has a battle belt, and I shoot, like I'll do drills and stuff sometimes. And so it's like nice to have your mags all around. But one thing I've been wanting is a chest rig. And I don't remember where I even saw this first, but Haley Strategic, I follow them on Instagram. They're all made in the USA from USA materials. And they are really good. I just got my chest rig in about a week or so ago. It X's on your back, but it's really sharp. They make a bunch of different rigs and kits. They make a bunch of different stuff. I'm not sure what all, like, I don't know if everything may be made in USA. To be honest, I'm not real sure. Like, let me look. Yeah, looks like they got a belt that's for like the battle belts and different things like that. It's made in USA from USA materials. So in general, I'll just say Haley Strategic. Check out them. And the dude's, he's a veteran. He was with Blackwater, actually, I think after he got out of the military, he did some really wild contracting. Yeah, and he was posting some videos, kind of sharing his story. It was pretty freaking cool. But Haley Strategic is the company, and it's literally just HALEY, strategic.com, and check out what they got. It's all really awesome gear. I nerd out on the YouTube reviews sometimes, and I think like Grand Thumb, he's one of my favorite gun tubers, and I think he's done some reviews on Haley Strategic and all them. But it gets the thumbs up from several of my buddies that served in the military, and they have recommended them.
Do you know where they're located?
I don't know where they're located. Does it not say at like the bottom of the website?
You guys do contact us. I'm like, am I related to them? Scottsdale, Arizona.
You might be. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, my mom's a Haley.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Scottsdale, though. I don't know if we have any
that far out.
Family. Haley's, of course.
Does he have the Haley dashing good looks?
Yeah, he might could.
Yeah, he needs a mustache.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he's got a better hairline than most of the Haleys that I know.
That is very true. He still has most of his hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. Check out HaleyStrategic.com. Hey, and look, some guys get weird about civilians running gear, and those guys are just un-American to me.
So do you do full kit Fridays?
No, but that would be fun. I need to do that on my farm videos. That's what I ought to do. I ought to
Do
just
full kit Friday.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the lead farmer. But
There was a gun group one day. They were, it was a little Instagram reel or whatever where they were, I think it was a gun store, and I think they were doing full size Friday where they're all
carrying a big
carrying
full
size pistol.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, Gary, what are you wearing or carrying full size Friday? And they were going around like the whole gun shop. Like one guy's like comes out like a full kit, like as like the
nods and everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
like he's like, it's full kit Friday. They're like, no, it's just full size Friday.
Dude. Well, there is a couple of guys, and I hate to say it, Dakota Meyer. You know what I'm talking about?
That name's familiar, but
He's a Medal of Honor recipient.
okay.
Dakota Meyer, Rob O'Neill. There's
I know who Rob
several.
O'Neill is. Yeah.
They are anti-citizen civilians running gear and kit, and like they kind of went on a tirade, especially Dakota Myers. He really went on a tirade against civilians having kit and gear, like tactical gear and stuff. And I'm like, man, to me that's kind of like, and that's like anti-2A and anti-American.
Yeah, to me, again, the Second Amendment is not about having a hunting rifle.
No,
It's not about having, a rifle for plinking in your backyard. It's about being able to stand up to a tyrannical government.
yes.
And so it's like, yeah,
Well, see, they're like, oh, you got to earn it. That's like they're almost trying to argue that it's like stolen valor, but it's not. I don't put on gear and pretend that I'm a commando and say, or I might pretend I'm like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando, but I don't go around being like, yeah, man, I served. But it's Grand Thumb did it really well. His name's Mike Jones, and are you familiar with Grand Thumb?
yes.
So he is former military. I think he was TAC-P or something. But anyways, he's like, dude, get all the gear and equipment you can, because one, if crap hits the fan, you want to have as close to the equipment that the people you're fighting had. Like if you're fighting, God forbid, like the U.S. military turns on us, then we want to have as close to what they have.
Well, that's kind of where like people are like, no, when the Second Amendment was written, like, yeah, literally the civilians had just as high grade weapons as the government did.
Yes.
And they're like, well, they didn't have cannons, and like literally there's like old like catalog clippings from back in the day where like you could literally
Buy
order
a
a cannon.
cannon, yes.
Like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't know that I could afford a fighter jet, but I mean, realistically, the way it's written, like if I could and I wanted one,
You should be able to have one.
Yeah, if I wanted to have an Abrams tank, parked in the barn, I mean,
I think Arnold Schwarzenegger owns a tank.
yeah, I mean,
Now, it's not an Abrams, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know my different tanks. I just know the name of the Abrams. But yeah, like theoretically, like if you could afford one and you wanted one, and just in case,
Yep.
Like the Second Amendment reads, you should be able to have one.
That's how I am. And that's how
That's why you shouldn't need to have a Class 3 or whatever to own a fully automatic.
you're speaking my language,
Yeah,
man.
I mean that's yeah.
Well, that
Anyway, yeah, we could that could rabbit hole could
go forever.
we'd pop out in China by the time we got to the bottom of that one.
Yep. But guys, I say all that to say, don't worry about any of the elitist minded. I'm not saying elite like warriors, because I got good buddies that I definitely consider elite warriors that are like encouraging of civilians getting the best equipment and best gear that they can.
And not that either of those guys, because I know who Rob O'Neill is. I don't remember the other guy's name you said.
Dakota Meyer,
but
he was infantryman, I think.
Obviously, those are some badasses. You appreciate what they've done, but I don't know.
I don't need their permission to celebrate my Second
Well,
Amendment
and I
rights.
see like it's there's dipshits in every walk of life. I mean, as much as we love our Navy SEALs, Dan Crenshaw's a great example of how damn disappointing they can be.
I know, and he's got an eye patch.
Yeah, one-eyed McCain.
Yeah, dude. I just thought, dude, he was a SEAL with an eye patch. Like, I'm like,
but
this
just
dude.
because you were a SEAL, it means you were a total badass. In that walk of life or military service. It really turns out that it doesn't make you worth a shit as a politician. And doesn't make their opinion on general things. And again, that is somewhat their area of expertise, of course. But yeah, it does not give them full authority, to say what the rest of us can do.
Yes, this is America. We do still have the Second Amendment, and you need to gear up with this Haley Strategic so that we can make sure that we continue to have our Second Amendment.
Yep.
So go check them out. While you're doing that, go check out agzaga.com.
Yep.
I don't know that they have any kits for you, but they do
they
have
got all
some
kinds of
wrap.
kits. They're just more, ag-related kits.
Yeah.
They got, of course, again, the bayonet wrap. But the toys, I saw they were running some some kits for different toy packages. I don't know, no real big holidays coming up, but you never know. I got one kid with a birthday here in about a little less than 3 weeks, and things like that. All the farm gear, check out the apparel, everything. Most of all, use that discount code. Don't pay full price. Don't pay for shipping. Talk Dirt, all caps, all one word. Good folks. That matters a lot too. And they do have a lot of made in USA products as well.
Yeah.
So,
all right, guys, comment below. Let us know what you think. Leave us a rating and a review. And again, Bobby Lee and I are still kind of putting our heads together on the giveaway. I still would like to hear some feedback on any suggestions y'all guys have. What would you really like? Like, we could put together a killer package, or do you think we should bring somebody back in studio? If you want it, would you rather just get a bad to the bone swag pack, or would you like to come and actually be on the show? That's what I want to know. Give us some feedback. Let us know. And leave us a rating and review, comment. We'll catch you next week.
Yep. See y'all then.